Board members, please take your seats. This July 17th, 2025 regular meeting of the Fairfax County School Board will now come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence and performance of the national anthem by Allison Korb, a student from Langston Hughes Middle School.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Can we have one more round of applause for our amazing students? Agenda item 2.02, announcements. If you would like to review a copy of the meeting agenda, please see the back of the auditorium. To obtain copies of any items or supporting materials being presented tonight, please reference the QR code on the agenda or visit www.fcps.edu/boarddocs. Tonight's meeting is being broadcast on channel 99 and live streamed on YouTube and at our website, www.fcps.edu/livestream. Mr. Dunn has submitted a written request to attend this evening's meeting virtually due to personal reasons, as he has a travel conflict and is attending tonight's meeting from Seoul, Korea. All those in favor of approving Mr. Dunn's request? Mr. Frisch, Mr. McDaniel, Ms. St. John Cunning, Ms. Lady, Ms. Dixit, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser, Mr. Moon, Dr. Anderson. Those opposed? Abstaining. Ms. Marin. Mr. Dunn, please check your audio and visual, or in your video. Okay, we'll check in with him as we move forward this evening. Mr. McElveen has submitted a written request to attend this evening's meeting virtually due to personal reasons, as he has a work travel conflict and is attending tonight's meeting from Sichuan, Yunnan Province, China. All those in favor of Mr. McElveen's request? That is unanimous for all board members at the table. Can we go ahead and have Mr. McElveen check your audio and video? There, we see you.
Good evening from Jianchuan, Yunnan Province. Thanks.
Thank you for the adjustment in my pronunciation. I appreciate it. Agenda item 2. I do want to say thank you to Ms. Carolyn Pitches for being here this evening, who is the chair of the Fairfax City School Board. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Agenda item 2.03, proclamation honoring school board community advisory committees. I call on Ms. St. John Cunning for a proclamation.
Thank you. Whereas the Fairfax County School Board Community Advisory Committee members voluntarily serve the board to provide recommendations, guidance, and insight on such topics that are critical to student and staff success and wellness, and whereas the Minority Student Achievement Oversight Committee examined foundational practices to make recommendations to support and prioritize underserved students and families, including the production of a Minority Student Achievement Parent Advocacy Handbook in print and online in 5 languages, created and awarded the Dr. Larry Bussey Memorial Equity Award to recognize those who work to redress inequitable systems and practices in the division, reviewed the implementation of actions on the 4 pillars of the strategic plan, and made recommendations to improve culturally responsive learning environments, educator recruitment and retention, social emotional learning, increased access to rigor for students in underserved schools, family, and community partnership. And whereas the Title I Parent Advisory Committee dedicated its efforts to championing literacy, primarily by reviewing the implementation and fidelity of the science and reading curriculum in Title I schools. This multi-year initiative included deep dives into curriculum materials, instructional strategies, and assessment practices. The Advanced Academic Programs Advisory Committee fulfilled their charge to learn more about the advanced placement and international baccalaureate options for FCPS high school students, including analyzing access, participation rates, and numbers of student exams in order to make recommendations about effective practices and possible areas for improvement. And whereas the School Health Advisory Committee focused on student health related to cognitive, emotional, and social skills, advocated that strategic data analysis is crucial for utilizing resources effectively to connect school technology use policies with student health, examined the impact of neuroscience on improving student outcomes through fostering brain health for all students, families, and staff, enabling preventive support for developing and maintaining brain health, and identifying innovations to pilot and evaluate brain health initiatives for students, including technology use, extracurricular activities, sleep, and stress management. The committee further promoted equitable access to extracurricular activities and their role in protecting the mental and physical health of students. And whereas the Adult and Community Education Advisory and the Career and Technical Education Advisory Committees work to provide program alignment between K-12 education and post-secondary training opportunities. And the Advisory Committee for Students with Disabilities made recommendations for increasing disability-affirming practices in school communities and encouraging a strength-based approach to educating students with disabilities and learning differences. And the Facilities Planning Advisory Committee created 5 topic-specific memos and an annual report that includes 17 recommendations for the school board's consideration. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Fairfax County School Board extends its deepest appreciation to the School Board Community Advisory Committees for their outstanding service and dedication to the Fairfax County School Board and our students, staff, families, and community members.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Merritt. I will call on a vote. All those in favor? Mr. Frisch, Mr. McDaniel, Ms. Marin, Ms. St. John Cunning, Ms. Lady, Ms. Dixit, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser, Mr. Moon, Dr. Anderson, and Mr. McElveen, and myself. That is unanimous for all board members here. Congratulations. Agenda item 2.04, proclamation honoring Disability Pride Month. I call on Ms. Sizemore-Heiser for a proclamation.
Whereas July is Disability Pride Month, a time to celebrate the history, achievements, experiences, and struggles of people with disabilities, a time to go beyond just accepting disability to affirming that disability is a natural and valuable part of human diversity, not a deficit or a condition to be fixed. And whereas about 20% of Fairfax County Public School students have identified disabilities and or learning difference, and FCPS is committing to fostering the strengths of students with disabilities while also meeting their diverse needs, ensuring they receive a high expectations education with support and resources to thrive academically, socially, and emotionally as they move toward an adulthood that maximizes their independence. And whereas FCPS is committing to ensuring equitable access to a quality, inclusive education for all students by universally designing instruction and educational environments, recognizing that there are different ways of being and succeeding in our schools and communities. And whereas a key part of inclusion means ensuring people with disabilities are accepted exactly as they are, without conditions, and in FCPS, all individuals are treated with dignity, respect, and equality, where barriers to participation and inclusion are eliminated, where all are dedicated to affirming the abilities and unique strengths of every student and staff member, presuming competence, promoting positive self-conception and identities. And whereas disability should never limit one's independence or societal participation, but rather be recognized and celebrated as part of an individual's identity, and school communities must be inclusive of all students and staff lived norms, and do not require that students or staff mask their unique individual characteristics or assimilate to participate. And whereas we celebrate these students and staff as assets whose inclusion will benefit the full FCPS community, whose unique perspectives and talents contribute to our collective progress, and who enrich the tapestries of our school communities. And whereas we recognize the many achievements with people with disabilities in all walks of life and in all professions, including scientists, artists, writers, entrepreneurs, doctors, musicians, teachers, and more. We recognize on a long enough timeline, everyone may join the disability community, and that disability pride benefits us all. And where we also celebrate the efforts of our extended community, the disability rights activists, organizations, and advocates who work tirelessly to advance the rights, independence, and well-being of individuals with disabilities, and to create a more inclusive and accessible world for all. And we recognize that when we make our FCPS schools, county, and world more accessible to those with disabilities, we not only make it easier for those with disabilities to live, we also make it easier for everyone to live. And now, therefore, the Fairfax County School Board does hereby proclaim July 2025 as Disability Pride Month to celebrate the diverse strengths and talents of people with disabilities, promote affirmation and understanding of disabilities throughout the school community, advocate for inclusive practices and support services that empower students with disabilities to thrive, so we can create a learning environment where all students feel valued, recognized, and celebrated for their unique contributions.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Frisch. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Mr. Frisch, Mr. McDaniel, Ms. Marin, Ms. St. John Cunning, Ms. Lady, Ms. Dixit, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser, Mr. Moon, Dr. Anderson, Mr. McElveen, and myself. That's unanimous for all board members present. Agenda item 2.05, honoring Juliana Russell's legacy of service as a beloved Fairfax County career and technical education teacher, proclamation. I call on Ms. St. John Cunning for a proclamation.
Thank you. And before I read the proclamation, I just want to stress how Fairfax County Public Schools is really family to so many people, staff members, family members, students. And this person really signified that. Whereas Fairfax County and the Franconia District celebrates the life and mourns the passing of Juliana Russell, a beloved career and technical education teacher at the Edison Academy in Edison High School. She was the daughter of Kevin Russell and Joanne Russell and was a graduate of Forest Park High School in Prince William County, Virginia, and the University of Phoenix, earning a Bachelor of Science in Business with a certificate in marketing. And whereas she was in her first year at the career and technical education teacher at Edison High School, where she discovered her calling when she gave a financial literacy presentation in her father's criminal justice class. And whereas she made an extraordinary impact on her students and was a leader among her peers, bringing dedication, innovation, and compassion to everything she did. She connected deeply with her students, many of whom described her as inspiring them with her positivity, her energy, and her belief in their potential. And whereas her leadership extended beyond the classroom, fostering an environment where students felt valued and supported. Through her dedication, she sponsored the Latin Student Union and co-sponsored the Future Business Leaders of America. And whereas she seamlessly integrated into the fabric of the school community, leaving an indelible mark on the hearts of students and colleagues who were moved by her kindness and compassion. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Fairfax County School Board and our community mourn the loss of Juliana Russell and extend our deepest sympathies to her family, friends, school community, and beyond.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Sizemore Heiser. I will call for the vote. All those in favor, Mr. Frisch, Mr. McDaniel, Ms. Marin, Ms. St. John Cunning, Ms. Lady, Ms. Dixit, Ms. Sizemore Heiser, Mr. Moon, Dr. Anderson, and Mr. McElveen, and myself. That is unanimous. Thank you. I would like to welcome all of those here in support of the honoring Juliana Russell's legacy of service. As a beloved Fairfax County Career and Technical Education Teacher Proclamation, to please join the board for a photo at the front of the dais.
I would like to welcome all those here in support of the proclamation honoring Disability Pride Month to please join the board for a photo at the front of the dais. I would like to welcome all those here in support of the School Board Community Advisory Committee's proclamation to please join the board for a photo at the front of the dais.
Agenda item 3.01, community participation. The next order of business is community participation. We welcome all community members who are here and those who signed up to speak this evening. Additional information about signing up to provide comments at school board regular business meetings and public hearings can be found on the school board's website at www.fcps.edu/schoolboard. During the sign-up process, community members acknowledged that they were informed of the school board's expectations for proper decorum when providing comments. These expectations are also available online with the printed agenda and meeting materials in the back of the room. We ask audience members to be respectful of one another. Shouting and outbursts will not be tolerated. Please hold your applause until the conclusion of the speaker's remarks. Audience members may not join speakers at the podium and should remain at their seats, including when recording video or taking photos. We are grateful to those who have come to speak with us today, and thank you for your cooperation. School board members will be listening but not responding. Madam Clerk, please call the first speaker.
Michaela Danner.
Hi, I'm Michaela, as you probably know. I'm 12 years old and I'm about to start 7th grade. And you can probably imagine I'm really scared for middle school. Not just because it's a new school, because it starts really early. Right now I have to wake up before 6 a.m. just to catch the bus. That's not healthy for kids my age. And every sleep expert and pediatrician says we need to start school after 8:30 a.m. It's better for our brains, our bodies, and our feelings. We do better in school, we're less stressed, and even have fewer problems with depression. It feels like nothing is changing, and we've been told for years that you're working on it. Please don't let us down again. Middle school is only 2 or 3 years, but it is also when our bodies and minds are changing a lot. We need sleep to grow and learn, and starting school super early just makes everything harder. Please keep your promise. Please make this a real priority. Kids like me are counting on you to do what's right for our health, for our learning, and for our future. Thank you.
Andrew Salmon.
Good evening, everybody. I was here with 200 other speakers about 6 weeks ago to speak on behalf of our students during the budget crisis. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of our staff during the implementation of this policy regarding cancellation of telework options as of July 1st. I'm a high school teacher of nearly 15 years and have no interest in telework myself, ever. COVID was enough for me. But I'm also a husband of FCPS staff, a father of 3 FCPS students, homeowner and HOA president of an FCPS community, and product of the county. Having spent my whole life here and planning to retire here, I love this county, and I want it to be taken care of. This telework policy is the antithesis of all of that. It's a self-inflicted wound, and it would be free to fix. I've emailed each of you over the last 2 months. I've spoken with Dr. Reed. I've engaged with several chiefs. We're already losing staff to this policy, with people having quit proactively now over the past 2 weeks, and we're getting fewer applicants to fill vacant jobs. Our morale is dropping like a stone, and it's getting worse by the day. Nearby counties see the damage we're doing to our staff and as they flee to refuge with them, and all over a self-inflicted wound that would be free to fix. And as a teacher, I find this especially offensive. It was implemented as a way to bring staff into alignment with teachers. Are staff going to get summers off? Are they going to go get spring and winter breaks off? Are they going to work 7.5 hours days? The answer to that is obviously no. So this idea of equity is false at best, more likely misleading. The staff deserve better. They deserve to be taken care of. They deserve kindness. They deserve consideration. They deserve actual equity, actual fair treatment. And that's not what this is. And it would be free to fix. Thank you.
Toby Latham.
Madam Chair, members of the school board, Dr. Reed, and members of the leadership team, good evening. My name is Toby Latham, and I'm the proud parent of 2 elementary age students in FCPS. I want to thank you for observing Disability Pride Month with a proclamation. It's a small but important step in affirming the value, dignity, and diverse contributions of all people with disabilities. But as a parent who, after multiple stalled attempts at obtaining a fix to local recurring issues that negatively impact the quality of instruction delivered to our students who need and use augmentative and alternative communication, or AAC, and as a parent who had to go down to Richmond to get a law passed to address one such issue, I came here tonight to say this: words fade. Action, inaction, what we do, what we don't do, this is what reveals whether we as individuals truly believe that people with disabilities deserve the opportunity to participate in and benefit from the services, programs, and activities that people without disabilities have access to year after year, day after day. So I come here tonight with an opportunity for our decision makers to address a point of inequity in our system. Years ago, Lindsay and I started accessing data from our son's own privately owned AAC system, and we used that data to get an idea of what his instruction looked like from one day to the next. And we used that data to advocate for more and different services until we got to the point where he was able to demonstrate what he's learning in class because he got appropriate instruction. But students who use the same AAC app and FCPS issued devices have been denied access to the same data. Our school board member has pushed for a resolution on this issue, but the conversation is stalled somewhere in the halls of central office, and it's time to get it unstuck. So I ask that the members of this board, along with the chair, or reach out to me, learn more about this inequity, and after getting up to speed, demonstrate to our community that the words spoken here tonight mean something. Thank you.
Mark Krupnick.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here today to speak about limited early release days, and specifically the email sent out on May 19th indicating the program would continue into the next academic year. In the email, test score gains were cited as a clear indicator that the program was working and used to justify it into the next academic year. I am here to caution against assuming causality from correlational data. You need more evidence than correlational data to support your interpretation of what score gains mean and to rule out other variables besides a half-day planning period once a month that could explain those gains. Absent of the results of those analyses, the statement that limited early release days are working based on observing those score gains is misleading. If those analyses do exist, please share them. Otherwise, I think the statement should be retracted. If those analyses don't exist, I strongly encourage them to be conducted. We should be certain that limited early release days are a net positive value add for the community. We need to understand their effectiveness. We know there are costs to them, one of which is the disruption of the school week to our elementary school students. FCPS's school calendar is not strong when it comes to the number of 5-day weeks. These limited early release days only exacerbate a serious weakness of our school calendar. Thank you.
Lindsay Latham.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Reed, and staff. My name is Lindsay Latham, and as you learned moments ago, my husband and I are thankful for the board's recognition of Disability Pride Month. I hope that it sparks conversation and curiosity about the students you all serve and the teachers and support staff who tirelessly work with them. I know you all deeply understand the benefits of providing resources and supports for early learners in multiple languages, so much so that in schools across FCPS, DLI students spend half of their day learning math, science, health in French, German, Japanese, Korean, or Spanish. From your website, learning a second language can have a positive effect on intellectual growth, enriches a child's mental development, promotes flexible thinking, gives a child the ability to communicate with people they would otherwise not have the chance to know. We agree on all of these points. So why aren't students who use augmentative alternative communication given the same opportunities and afforded the same level of world-class education in the county? It was disheartening to read in many of your monthly newsletters that there's a consideration for expanding the DLI program. Still, there is no program similar to DLI for AAC students. Imagine being trapped in your own mind with a piece of technology that could allow you to unlock your wants and needs, that would allow you to engage with your teachers and your peers, but not being given the tools, supports, or services to learn that language and then being labeled as bad or disruptive. This happens every day in the schools across this county. These behaviors are a form of communication. We have seen firsthand and know that when true language immersion is implemented for an AAC user, they can thrive if given the proper supports and tools. Before considering another language immersion program, develop the program for those who you are honoring tonight. Thank you.
Emily Vanderhoff. Cara Danner.
Good evening. As you know, I'm a Fairfax County parent, start school later, chapter leader, and advocate for healthy school hours. You've all agreed that start time planning is important and will happen in parallel with the boundary review process. However, there's still no clear plan or answers to important questions about implementation. Some of these questions have been asked months ago. It's easy to say we're working on it, but real work means drafting plans, meeting with stakeholders, and engaging the FCPS community on the importance of this concern. Why does this matter? Because early start times are harming our kids. The science is clear. Adolescents need more sleep for their physical, emotional, and academic well-being. When schools start later, attendance improves, performance goes up, depression goes down, and lives are saved. Tonight, I respectfully ask for 3 outcomes: a date for releasing the superintendent's implementation plan for start times, specifically in conjunction to work on the boundaries, a public strategy for engaging families and staff around that plan, and consistent, visible leadership affirming this as a top priority. Our students can't afford more delays. The time to act is now. Thank you.
Terry Batash.
Good evening. My name is Terry Batash, and I'm a specialist in the Office of Benefit Services. I appreciate being given the opportunity to speak here tonight regarding telework. The change in this policy has impacted staff morale in a way that I've never experienced before. Staff are discouraged, we feel disrespected, and there's an overall feeling of not being valued. This change is one that not only harms staff, but students and our schools. Hundreds of us recently completed a survey, and 85% of the respondents said they would leave FCPS for a comparable job that offers telework. Services that keep schools running will suffer from the loss of staff who may choose to leave for comparable positions in neighboring counties that offer telework. When I came to work for FCPS, I never thought that this was a one-size-fits-all organization. But changing the telework policy to only allow 5 days of telework per year for operational employees seems as if it's the goal to do just that. The restriction of this once very successful policy sends a message that there is a lack of trust and support for your staff and supervisors that work extremely hard and are dedicated to the FCPS mission. Overall, the change in this policy seems like an unforced error that can be quickly changed, and I urge you to please make that change, reinstate the previous telework policy that has served everyone well for many years. Thank you so much.
Caitlin Colangelo.
Hi, everyone. I want to highlight why telework is essential, not just for convenience, but for delivering high-quality work. First, mental health is improved through telework. Without a stressful commute and with the more control over our environment, we're better able to manage stress and stay focused. But here's the disconnect. Our system often emphasizes mental health in words while limiting one of the most effective tools we have to protect it. If we truly value mental health, we need to support flexible work. Work-life balance also improves with telework. It allows us to meet personal obligations without compromising our responsibilities. It reduces the daily stress of rushing between roles so we can be truly present during our off hours for our families, our health, and ourselves. That balance fosters higher engagement, retainment of high-quality employees, and helps prevent burnout. My biggest challenge is focus. One of my roles is performing software testing for a district-wide application. This requires deep, uninterrupted concentration that my team has proven can be effectively completed when teleworking. After being moved from a quiet, private suite in Gatehouse to a now crowded open space, constant distractions like hallway traffic and loud conversation regularly break my concentration and directly impact the quality and timeliness of my work. In addition, my team and colleagues are often required to perform system updates at night and weekends to avoid disrupting daytime operations for schools. Remote work has made it possible to complete these tasks during off hours without having to stay late in the office. FCPS promotes equity, yet the updated policy imposes uniform restrictions that overlook the nature of various roles like staff and IT, whose job is largely compatible with telework. It's important to recognize that different roles come with different responsibilities, and our approach should reflect that rather than apply a one-size-fits-all model. In fact, many FCPS graduates return as employees, bringing with them the same diverse needs they had as students. Supporting them as professionals is just as essential as it was in the classroom. Equity is not giving everyone the same tools, it's making sure each person has what they need to be successful. Thank you.
Leslie Houston.
Good evening. I'm Leslie Houston, President of Fairfax Education Association, proudly representing thousands of your dedicated employees. With just 14 days left in my term, I stand before you filled with immense gratitude and deep pride, because serving over 28,000 instructional and operational professionals has been the honor of a lifetime. To the members of FEA, thank you. Thank you for trusting me with your voices, your challenges, and your dreams. Thank you for standing with me shoulder to shoulder through every obstacle. Together, we didn't just make history, we built a foundation grounded in justice, dignity, and respect. To this board and to those that came before you, thank you for choosing collaboration over conflict and partnership over politics. The progress we made together is tangible. It lives in our contracts, our policies, and most importantly, in the lives we've touched. And to those who tried to silence me, discredit me, or dismantle what we've built, thank you. You taught me the strength of my own voice. You reminded me that purpose cannot be shaken, and that when you try to dim someone's light, it only burns brighter. Your resistance sharpened my resolve. Every step of this journey has mattered because our educators are the backbone of our future, and our students are the soul of our communities. This fight for strong, equitable public education is not just ongoing, it is urgent, it is necessary, and we will not back down. I leave this position with my head held high, my heart full, and my legacy strong and intact. This isn't the end. It's just the beginning of what comes next. Thank you, and know that all of you made history, y'all.
Sarah Young.
Good evening. Working in DIT, I've seen how telework positively impacts our ability to contribute effectively. By engaging in a conversation about telework, FCPS can continue to support our commitment to fairness and our stated values. Numerous studies support the benefits of hybrid work. A 2023 study led by Stanford economist Nicholas Bloom found employees who worked from home 2 days a week were as productive and as likely to be promoted as their office-based peers. Resignations fell by 33% among workers who shifted to a hybrid schedule. This reduction saves on turnover costs. A hybrid model can support employee performance and retention. For us, telework allowed for increased productivity and flexibility, enabling an environment for detailed work with fewer distractions in and out of the office. This was instrumental in maintaining the seamless flow of support that underpins our educational environment. This hybrid model enabled staff to complete essential tasks efficiently, even outside traditional business hours. We are already seeing experienced employees leaving for other opportunities. By eliminating the hybrid model, FCPS risks falling behind other districts and organizations in attracting and retaining top talent. Telework is a modern workplace practice, and without this benefit, we are placed at a disadvantage in a competitive job market. This model has successfully existed in FCPS for over a decade, incentivized new talent, and has shown increased response times and decreased interruptions, leading to support for continued conversations for the development of a fair telework policy. Thank you.
Chair Anderson, that was our last public speaker.
Agenda item 4.01, Student Representative Matters. I call on Ms. McConan.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'd like to raise a concern about the updated phone policy that's scheduled to take effect in the 2025-2026 school year. As part of this policy, high school students will no longer be allowed to use their phones or other personal devices like AirPods or smartwatches, not only during class time, but also during passing periods. This change marks a significant shift in how students navigate their school day. And while the goal of limiting distractions and improving focus is one that many of us understand, I want to highlight a key issue that came up repeatedly over the last 2 years in the Superintendent Advisory Council discussions: inconsistency in enforcement. Right now, even under the existing phone policy from the 2024-2025 school year, implementation varied widely across schools, and even within the same school. Some teachers enforce the rules strictly, while others are more lenient. This creates confusion, frustration, and a sense of unfairness among students. It's hard to follow the rules when the expectations change from one classroom to the next. With a stricter policy on the horizon, that inconsistency could become even more pronounced. If there isn't a unified approach, it could lead to breakdowns in communication and student trust. So I'd like to ask, what measures are being put in place to ensure this policy is applied consistently across all high schools? Will there be clear guidance for staff, and will students be given a clear understanding of what to expect, no matter what school they attend or what teacher they have? It's important that implementation feels fair and consistent. Without that, even a well-intentioned policy can have unintended consequences, especially if students feel like they're being held to different standards across the county. I hope this feedback can be a part of the conversation moving forward. Thank you again for listening.
Thank you, Ms. McConan. Agenda item 5.01, action item, certification of closed meeting compliance. In order to comply with section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia, it is necessary for the board to certify that since the Fairfax County School Board convened a closed meeting on July 17, 2025, to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements and such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the board during closed meeting. Do I have a motion? Ms. St. John Cunning, do I have a second? Ms. Dixit. All those in favor? Mr. Frisch, Mr. McDaniel, Ms. St. John Cunning, Ms. Dixit, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser, Mr. Moon, Dr. Anderson, and myself. All those opposed? Mr. McElveen, are you opposed or are you?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm in support, not opposed.
Okay. Mr. McElveen is in support. And abstained. Ms. Marin and Ms. Lady. Mr. McDaniel. No? Okay. We'll get there. Agenda 5.02, an action item, confirmation of action taken in closed meeting. I call on Ms. Dixit for a motion.
I move to remand the school reassignment appeal of a student who threatened fellow students at school to the divisional superintendent for further consideration based on the discussion in the closed meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Sizemore-Heiser. All those in favor? Mr. Frisch, Mr. McDaniel, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser, Ms. St. John Cunning, Ms. Dixit, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser, Mr. Moon, and Mr. McElveen and myself. Opposed? Dr. Anderson, abstain. Ms. Marin and Ms. Lady. Thank you. Can the clerk read the vote, please?
Eight, 1-2 with Mr. Dunn not present.
Okay. I call on Mr. Frisch for a motion.
Thank you. I move to deny the school reassignment appeal of a student who was charged with a crime in the community and to confirm the disciplinary decision of the division superintendent.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Sizemore-Heiser. All those in favor? Mr. Frisch, Mr. McDaniel, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser, Ms. St. John Cunning. I'll get it, I promise. Ms. Dixit, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser, Mr. Moon, Mr. McElveen, Dr. Anderson, and myself. Those opposed? And did I say Mr. McElveen? Okay, good. And abstentions? Ms. Marin and Ms. Lady, thank you. I call on Ms. St. John Cunning for a motion.
I move that the board give the superintendent authority on behalf of the board to approve contracts that need to be authorized during the recess and after consultation with the chair and vice chair to sign on behalf of the board as discussed in closed session.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Frisch. All those in favor? Mr. Frisch, Mr. McDaniel, Ms. Marin, Ms. St. John Cunning, Ms. Lady, Ms. Dixit, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser, Mr. Moon, Dr. Anderson, Mr. McElveen, and myself. That is unanimous. Action item 5.03, agenda item 5.30, action item FY 2025 year-end review. I call on Ms. Sizemore-Heiser for a motion.
I move that the school board approve the revenue and expenditure adjustments as detailed in the agenda item.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Dixit. Ms. Sizemore-Heiser, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, just briefly. We had a presentation on this at our last board meeting, so there's information that was presented last time as well as on board docs. But I just wanted to reiterate that this is a year-end budget dealing with our surplus as one-time funds. So while there's lots of needs and priorities within our school system, this funding can only be spent on one-time expenditures. So these are used to address some critical needs that are one-time needs. I appreciate my colleagues' work this year on a very difficult budget and a very difficult budget process with increasingly uncertain fiscal outlook and competing priorities. So that led to some tough budget decisions this year, and I appreciate everybody who came from the community to have their voices be heard and lift up their concerns. Just as a preview for next year, the outlook for next year is equally uncertain, if not worse. The impact of the federal workforce reductions and rising costs, in addition to the impact of the changing landscape at the federal government, is difficult to predict. In addition, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we will be facing still yet unknown impacts of the shrinking of the Federal Department of Education and the impact that may have in particular on populations with some of the greatest gaps and needs. So I believe I can speak for my colleagues, we are committed to support the strengths and needs of each and every student, but we also need to be realistic that our budget forecast was tough this year and will continue to be tough. So having said that, we are hoping to really build a strong collaborative relationship here in Virginia, both with our state delegation and especially with our Board of Supervisors, as our county has been a strong supporter of public schools and funds 70% of our budget. So we need to form a strong wall to continue to protect public education. And I know our state delegation and our county Board of Supervisors all stand strong in support of public education. And we are going to work very, very hard to build a stronger and better, and even more collaborative relationship as we move forward into continued uncertain waters. We'll continue to work at the state level to advocate for full funding of the JLOC recommendations, and we welcome the advocacy of our state and local partners together with our delegation and the Board of Supervisors to stand strong for public education. So thank you for your support of our schools, and thank you for the support of our funding, and stay tuned, everybody. It's going to be a bit of a rough ride.
Ms. Dixit, would you like to speak to your second?
I concur 100% to what my colleague just said. This is very important for everybody to know, and please work with us, the community, and FCPS, school board. We all have to work together. Thank you so much.
Okay, so Dr. Anderson.
Thank you. I apologize. I may have some inquiries that some of you may have raised last week, but I was not here for that session. So I did have a couple of questions. I don't know if I see Ms. Burden there. Oh, yep, there she is. She's nicely hidden behind Mr. Solomon. I always get that. Somebody always gets lost back there. I was hoping to have a little bit more information regarding a couple of items. The SBO build out. I noticed that there was what the amount is here. For Part 3C, $2 million, that's for staff assistance and build out. Who can speak to the build out? Or maybe that's a Setlo question.
Well, of the $2 million, $1.4 million is for the school board assistants, and $0.6 million, $600,000 is for the school board build out to be able to revise the offices so that there's enough space for the employees.
Okay, thank you for that. The other question that I had is regarding the graduation piece. I noticed the additional amount. Can somebody speak to how that's different from what we incurred this year?
We need to build that into the base budget because it is a recurring cost, but we have used year-end to fund that, I think, for the last 3 years. So it's something that we don't have in the base budget. We need to include it in the base budget, but for now, we're going to have to do it with year-end one more time.
And this is the rental for Eagle Bank Arena?
Yes, the venues.
Okay. Thank you. One of the things that I will concur with what Ms. Sizemore, now I'm doing it. Oh my God, Sizemore Heiser said is that these are really difficult times. You know, right now we've all read in the news about the freezing or perhaps not being given at all the Title II, Title III, Title IV funds. And so these are going to impact really critical and vulnerable parts of our system. And so I'd like to think, given the state that we're in, that at least the board could consider doing something differently with that $2.0 million to maybe offset, at least temporarily, some of those impacts. So that really is a piece for me that I'm struggling with to try to figure out why did we prioritize a build out, and I'm not asking you because that's not your decision, that's just what I'm facing, in lieu of maybe reallocating those funds to supporting some of those areas and where we know there will be some cuts. So that is
Dr.
giving me a little
Anderson,
bit of heartburn.
It's important to mention that these funds are not coming out of the surplus funds at year end. They are coming out of the school board's flexibility reserve.
Right, my question still stands. And again, that's not a question for you, it's just a wondering that makes me think about could we be better positioned and more strategic with how we utilize even the funds that are allocated to the school board. I had one more question. And now I can't. Oh, the healthcare fund, the $30 million, can you speak a little bit to what is occurring there, please?
All self-insured healthcare funds require that we have a premium stabilization reserve, which is commonly called the PSR. And it's basically a fund balance that is to deal with the volatility of healthcare, especially when you're self-insured. As you all have heard me say before, the premiums that our employees pay and the share that the FCPS pays all go to fund the claims that we experience. The last couple of years, our claims have been greater than anticipated, and as a result, the premium stabilization reserve has eroded, and we need to replenish that. And so we only had $30 million to be able to allocate for that at this year end. Hopefully, in this current year, our costs will be more in line with what our premiums are, and we won't have to, that won't be eroded even further. But we do need to bump that back up, and that's why the $30 million is recommended.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. One point of clarification, will employees have any impact with this commitment? Will it be a benefit to employees with this commitment?
It will be a benefit for them because there's only one way or two ways to replenish the premium stabilization reserve, and that is to increase the premiums of employees or fund it with FCPS operating funds. So their premiums will not have to go up to replenish this fund as it would if we weren't able to do this at year end.
Well, I definitely think that's a very good thing. Thank you. And lastly, I just wanted to give kudos to the extended day contracts for our special education teachers. I'm also in very good support and very high support of that.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Ms. Marin.
Yes, well, forgive me. It's been a long day. I shepherded my daughter through online PE driver's ed today, so. Okay, so as I shared at last week's meeting, I think we need to reflect and re-envision how the board provides oversight of taxpayer resources and that we're accountable for. So I'm particularly inspired to do this not only in the face of very trying economic times in our region and the nation, but also because I recently attended a conference for school board leaders that identified how school board policy can really meaningfully drive financial management. I know everyone's idea of a good time. I'm sharing these policy resources with my colleagues, and I'll get them to you all soon, but it has examples that I really hope we can consider. And one of the big things I saw was the school division have a significant amount of budget carryover, something that I haven't seen as a practice here, us very intentionally planning for. But to that end, I'd love to see our board expanding from just budget and even calling it something different. It's really financial oversight or financial management, and we need to be looking at the funds every single month and reviewing more closely the year-over-year data. So I think, of course, this includes intentional meeting and work with our Board of Supervisors. We've all suggested this, and while we voted on our calendar last week, with that in hand, we can now approach the Board of Supervisors and say, hey, here's our calendar. Where can we align with your calendar to have better collaboration and a roadmap for collaborative financial planning and management? So I'd like the board, I'd love early in the school year to have a more specific working plan in conjunction with our funding body, the Board of Supervisors, and especially to work together to get the money from the General Assembly, which is going to take a full team effort because we know that that is where the problem lies. It lies in Richmond. For this particular action tonight, I support the majority of what's here, but I would like the board to hear more frequently from the superintendent about the precarious situation with our federal funds, including the reduction of funds outright and the reduction of funds contingent on meeting stated requirements whose merits have yet to shown to be legal. Just ultimately, I love to see the board give itself the time to really deliberate with data and public discussion about the future of the school division. I'm committed to making database decisions, relying on the superintendent's expertise, and making deliberate decisions, having thought through all the angles and hearing from our superintendent about what she recommends. So the operational actions that deal with the day-to-day are what I entrust the superintendent to do. I'm eager for the board to work on the long-term health of the school division and a consistent decision-making approach using thoughtful policies from the board. Thank you.
Mr. Moon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a couple of questions. I'll be supporting the motion on the table. With that said, Ms. Burden or Dr. Reed, I see $24 million you are setting aside for FY27 beginning balance. and this time is 24. So that's the entire amount for the beginning balance, setting aside for the beginning balance for FY27, correct? There hasn't been any other amount set aside.
No, not for fiscal 27.
Because if I'm not mistaken, a year ago when we adopted the year-end budget review, a motion, we set aside $28.1 million for FY26 beginning balance. Is that why we're not setting aside the same amount? Because that's we consider that to be, I consider that to be structural deficit, because we every year we have to push money forward to sort of have that amount of money at as a beginning balance. But just wonder why it's not same 28.1 million.
Yeah, it is about $5 million less than we provided for fiscal 26 in the last year end. And that's just because of the number of priorities that needed to be funded with year end. And so we pulled that down just a little bit. You know, it's a little bit less, but that's what we had to do.
Because that's the only money, all the money we have left. That is why we're only setting aside $24 million.
That is correct.
You know, Ms. Bolden, you know, the county for many years, County Board of Supervisors also had, that's a structural deficit, but at one time where they had little additional resources, they just eliminated all the structural balance while school system was just still struggling for many, still going on with a structural deficit.
That is absolutely correct. The county no longer carries a beginning balance to fund a future year. And, you know, we're mindful of that. You should know that the beginning balance that we use in our budget is the smallest percentage of all of the school divisions that surround us.
Okay, thank you. One more question that I have. This one goes to Dr. Ree. That you know, my colleagues, several colleagues of mine talked about uncertainty and federal funding cuts and etc. I am equally concerned about federal funding cuts and uncertainty as well. But how are you dealing with the uncertainty? This is the last meeting for our board before we go to recess, and by the time we return to another regular meeting, school year will have already started for the next year. So because of uncertainty, are we eliminating any programs?
So at this time, the money is frozen for Title III, and that's the current concern, obviously, that we have. And as I've shared before, for Fairfax County Public Schools, that's about $13 million. We do have some carryover dollars that we can spend for the coming year. They will not be sufficient to cover all the expenses. And so we're going to have to realign programming, certainly. We've been looking at that. Staff have had one initial meeting, and we'll meet again next week to look at how we're going to divide up the carryover to preserve as much of the programming as we can, but there will be programming that we will not be able to preserve. That's correct. And I'll have a clearer delineation next week after the staff have their second meeting on this.
You know, Dr. Reed, a budget is probably most important decisions that school board makes on a yearly basis or a quarterly basis. Now this is year-end review. I would not just give up, abdicate my duties on making a decision on budgetary merits. If there is uncertainty, if the superintendent is proposing, has a certain plans to deal with uncertainty, that has to be presented to the board so the board can make a decision then, rather than superintendent unilaterally doing away with a certain programs. Something, you know, Dr. Lee, I hope that for you to think about.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Frisch.
Yeah. First, I look forward to getting the documents from Ms. Marin. I spoke to her, I think, on the day that she got back, and she seemed very excited about the conversations they were having, so I'm looking forward to digging in on them. Secondarily, I agree, you know, now that the calendar is set and we left the space for thoughtful planning so that we're not, you know, comparing two different shaped calendars against each other to try and make it work, we have a lot of potential there. I think it's worth couching the conversation around federal resources as to what it is, right? What they are doing in Washington is limiting opportunities for students. They're not underfunding public education. They're limiting opportunities for students. Students who can least afford it, by the way. English language learners, special education students, students with free and reduced meal qualifications, people who can least afford it. And they're not just doing it in K-12, right? Certainly that's where we feel it the most. But they're limiting their opportunities in K-12 by withholding this funding. And by the way, we've been talking about this day coming for quite a long time. And so Dr. Reed telling us just now what's happening is what she said was going to happen. We will not be losing staff, but programming won't be what it was because of how the money's coming in. So they're not just going after K-12, they're also going after post-secondary. So students who wanted to pursue a career in the sciences have limited opportunities. Graduate schools all over the country removed admissions to their universities. So these are things we're not going to feel for years. But when we get there and we start asking ourselves, where's the innovation? Why are so many people going elsewhere for their education? It's because of the decisions that are happening in Washington right now related to this money. And you want to talk about waste? What a tremendous waste it is of human potential that they are doing this with children. That's the waste. So it's really unfortunate, but we saw this coming months ago, and I'm grateful the superintendent has been planning for it.
Thank you, Mr. Frisch. We're going to go back for Dr. Anderson.
Thank you. I just kind of wanted to follow a little bit on the comments that Mr. Moon made, because these were also questions that I had, and it's to Dr. Reed, but I'll wait until she's ready to hear it. The pieces that we will have impact with these frozen funds or funds that will be withheld for however long. Can you speak a little bit more just so that our community is better informed to the areas of impact? What will students see? What will parents see? What will staff see and feel?
Well, at this point, we know that Title III-A dollars are primarily for our multilingual learner services, and that's about a $4.5 million of the dollars. So if we're not able to, if the federal government's review doesn't finish soon so that they can unfreeze the previously appropriated money, we're going to have to streamline those multilingual service program. So it may look different in terms of delivery model, but we're going to continue to serve our multilingual students. We have done a double check within that particular bucket. There are about 13 positions, and so we're making sure that we have other teaching positions, which we have teaching openings for some of the staff in those roles if the money is not unfrozen. We also contacted BDOE again today, as well as the Department of Education, and there is no new information. In preparing for tonight's meeting, we wanted to make sure that we'd made those contacts, and again, there's no new information being provided. The Congress, we do know, appropriated these funds for FY26, and we believe they're the only and sole body that can continue to appropriate those funds, so the legality of this pause in general has been called into question, and as I think many of you know, there are a number of states that have filed suit. One of the other areas would be hourly salaries for hourly staff around early literacy, community liaisons, and some of our preschool programs, and our adult high school program as well. And there are no other places to go within our already approved budget to support these programs. We don't have another $13 million is my point. So what I mentioned earlier is that the carryover dollars, of which I believe, they're not a significant amount of money, but I believe around 2 million, perhaps almost 3, between two different grants, 2.9, I think. Yes, 2.9 million. We're going to take a look at what can we do with those dollars, and it's primarily our instructional services department, our community engagement and experience department, as well as our chief of schools departments that are going to be looking at how do we use those dollars most effectively to support these programs if the money is not unfrozen. So I think there will be some areas that we're not going to be able to support as well as others, but our goal is to make sure that our students still receive everything we can provide, even as the federal government appears to be working to defund public education.
Thank you very much for that. The other question that I had is regarding, most of these are, well, you mentioned lots of positions, and we're butting up against time because we want to ensure that people have a job.
That's correct.
And so this is a hiring season. So potentially, if we're placing these individuals in teaching positions, they won't necessarily be able to return if we're able to find some way to mitigate the impact of the loss of staffing. Is that accurate?
So what I would say, and one of the things I'm very proud of, and this board I think can be proud of, is that our focus is always the classroom. And we want to make sure that we have, and I believe we do, the strongest educators in the country in our classrooms in front of children. We believe that for each staff member within these grants, there's a position somewhere in the division. It may not be the work they're currently doing, but it will be work they're credentialed or certified to do. Having said that, we're not losing hope that the money won't be unfrozen. We believe it will at some point because it's the right thing to do. And we believe that if it's the right thing to do, right things happen for our children. So having said that, we also want to make sure that we have positions for staff, and at this time we do, and so it's sort of those last decisions around this carryover money because we have to be fiscally prudent as well as a division.
You're definitely much more optimistic than I am, but I hope that you are correct, that the funds are unfrozen. And I've heard you speak about the Chief of Schools Office, the Instructional Office, and the Chief Experience Office. You didn't mention the Chief Equity Office.
Chief Equity Office as well, yes,
okay.
And Early Childhood as well. I didn't mention
and
that
early
office
childhood.
either. Yeah.
Because those are the Title IIs and Title IV funds coming out of that. My worry is, you know, we have a strategic plan that is equity centered. Can you speak a little bit to the impact of the Equity Office and how that would impact the strategic work that we are hoping to accomplish by 2030?
Well, and I would also add our Office of Professional Learning, which I didn't mention either. There are a number of offices that fall within these grants. I would say that each office is going to have some cuts to them in staffing if the grant funds aren't released. And the work that each office is doing is critically important, and we're going to have to find different models of supporting that work, but the work is not going to stop.
Thank you. And the last thing that I want to say, I do want to piggyback on Mr. Moon's statement that we should, you know, be clear in terms of what's happening and have some input into the process.
The timing is so unfortunate, right? Because we've already adopted our budget, and that's when we get the news about the frozen title dollars. So I will continue to keep the board apprised of where we are and how we're able to use our carryover. And because I'm going to choose to stay in the light, I'll also let you know when the money's unfrozen.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Ms. St. John Cunning for an initial turn.
Can you tell me how the percentage of Title III money that goes to fund parent liaisons, if you know that?
It's community liaisons. So let me, Ms. Burden, do you have, or Mr. Solomon, the percentage of Title III that funds, they fund some, but not all. A lot of our family liaisons come from other budget areas as well. Do we have a percentage, or could we get back to Ms. St. John Cunning in a Friday letter? We may need to get back to you, Ms. St. John Cunning.
And how many positions is that? More or less, and you could get back to me on that. I mean,
it's hourly.
Yeah, I'm happy to get back to you. I believe that in terms of the community liaisons and early literacy, these are hourly salaries, so they're positions that are hourly, and it'll be a little more challenging to calculate. I think there are close to 90 different hourly combinations, but that could be 2 hours to, I mean, 3, right? They're very different hourly, but I'll get that information for you by Friday. I know there's a chart that they've been working off of.
Well, I know that our early literacy programs help support a lot of our underserved communities as a stopgap for some of those kids that can't get into Head Start or issues like that. And I know they're vital and significant to the community. I want to thank you for having the presence of mind to train a lot of our teachers with English as a second language skills, because I think if we do lose some of this funding, we're going to have a lot of teachers that are trained to provide some of those services. And I want to thank you for that forethought. Not that that was the reason, but the fact that that has been done, I think, is really important to point out. And my question is, how can we leverage the skills of those teachers when we're going to be, if this funding is not provided, how we can leverage the skills of those teachers that are not English as a second language teachers, how we can leverage the skills set that those teachers now have to provide those services to our multilingual learners.
So thank you, Ms. St. John Cunning. The positions that support our multilingual learners that are in these Title III grants that we're referring to are central office positions. So we are not adjusting the ratios at the school or classroom level. And I appreciate your point around the GLAD training and PSYOP training and other multilingual staff training, because as you know, we recognize that 89% of our staff are teaching multilingual children every day. And I mean, they are because we have 40,000 roughly multilingual children in the school division. So we believe that all of us share that responsibility, and we share those equity commitments that Dr. Anderson was talking about. So it is true, if this money stays frozen, there'll be fewer hands at the central office level to support schools and classrooms, but it won't alter the allocation to schools and classrooms at this time.
Thank you. That makes me feel really good.
Mr. Frisch for Go Back.
I don't usually take go backs, but I was angry and I forgot a couple things. So we found out about this situation with the federal education dollars before the July 4th holiday, a couple days before the July 4th holiday. And I just want to thank our partners at VDOE for taking the better part of a week to provide guidance to their school divisions. You might think that they're just willing to go along with the situation happening in Washington with the pace of the response. You know, the rest of us feel this 5-alarm fire going on in public education right now, and our allies in Richmond are sitting on their hands. We need help. Even if it means that maybe somebody doesn't get a job in Washington, perhaps they should speak up for the kids in our schools. The other thing I would say is that as we talk about the money situation, I think lost in the conversation is that we still have legal obligations to provide services. So just because the money's not coming doesn't mean we are not legally required, nor should we walk away from our responsibilities to English language learners, multilingual students, students who live in poverty, special education students, and all of the other kids who are helped by this federal money. We have legal obligations. That's why the money exists in the first place, is to help us meet those legal obligations. That's not enough, but we still have an obligation. And I'm not worried about us trying to meet the obligation, but I do worry about other school divisions where they might think of this as an opportunity to kind of like turn a blind eye to those kids who are more expensive to serve. So this is a perfect opportunity for Richmond to speak up. If they're watching, we'd appreciate their help.
Ms. Sizemore-Heiser for Go Back.
Thank you. As I was listening to my colleague, Mr. Frisch, I thought it was very ironic that on the same day we celebrate Disability Pride Month, we're sitting here worried about losing federal funding for some of our students who have the greatest needs and gaps. I thought it was ironic that we talk about family values and cut funding for kids to eat. I thought it was ironic that we love our democracy, but we don't want to educate the citizens so they can take part with knowledge and critical thinking and analysis in that democracy. And I thought it was really ironic that a country built on immigrants, of whom my parents were two proud immigrants, are cutting the services so the immigrants like me who came here not speaking any English can learn English and succeed and thrive. Because all the data shows that our immigrants contribute more to the economy than those born here. So I don't care what side of the political spectrum somebody's on. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is the kids' ability to eat, to learn. I care about the democracy my parents came here for and the country that my dad loved fervently. And I care about our future. So if you care about those things, help us fight for public education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser. I will call for a vote on the motion, which is on the screen. All those in favor? Mr. Frisch, Mr. McDaniel, Ms. Marin, Ms. St. John Cunning, Ms. Lady, Ms. Dixit, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser, Mr. Moon, Mr. McElveen, and myself. Opposed? Dr. Anderson? Madam Clerk, could you read the vote?
The vote's 10-1, the motion carries.
Thank you. Agenda item 5.03, action item, revision to policy 8130 regarding phasing. I call on Dr. Anderson for a motion.
I move that the school board adopt the revised policy 8130 as detailed in the item on board docs in all of the red that is there.
Is there a second?
I second.
Ms. Marin. Dr. Anderson, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, I would. On one point, I'm not sure what else to share that I haven't talked about in the past year, but I will want to continue to emphasize that Fairfax County Public Schools invest significantly in resources to ensure that our students are connected to their schools and to their communities. During the most vulnerable times, we've spoken about the Fairfax County Youth Survey that showed that the Fairfax County survey data that shows that students in our secondary schools are the most critically in need of positive school connections. We've talked about sports, and we will actually talk about sports a little bit later on in the academic matters, in extracurricular activity participation, building relationships, and we ask for students to have at least 3 trusted adults in the buildings, which for some students take a lot of time to make happen. And we, in all of these efforts, have been articulated and written. They're part of our strategies for success for our young people. And given such commitment, it's clear to me that we have to continue to hold these ideals in mind throughout all of our processes, even the boundary review process. We've encouraged students to tether themselves to their schools, and the proposed revisions that I have here tonight will serve to support those connections. Will we be able to achieve the goals of the boundary process with the proposed revisions? Yes, albeit a little bit slower. But we will arrive to those targets without negatively impacting our students or reneging on the FCPS approach and commitment to a caring culture. Lastly, I truly believe that if this amendment passes, many parents and caregivers will breathe a sigh of relief, and they will be better positioned to really support the work of the boundary review process, which is really important because we needed to right-size our schools. We needed to provide greater access and to provide healthier school start times for our middle school students. So while we are not going to be able to, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought here. So the timetable might be impacted, but ultimately we'll get there without compromising their emotional and social networks, as well as their path to academic support, which is also another ideal that we foster in our students. Get together early with your counselors, build out your path for the 4 years. So requiring or compelling a break into that does not really support all of the things that we have talked about as a system. So I hope this evening that I will have your support so we could provide our students, their families, the opportunity to plan for a consistent educational experience that's aligned to our values.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Ms. Marin, would you like to speak to your second?
I always say if I could do one thing in our public schools, it would be to reduce class size. And although that is so hard to do, I think the next best thing we can do is work to keep school communities intact. So I have heard only requests to allow for more choice for families to determine if their students will be put into a new boundary, if it's determined, especially when they're in high school. And I just can't imagine asking a student to move in 10th or 11th grade or ordering them to move during especially that critical time when such cohesion is needed. So I'm very pleased to be working on the policy work. This is, what we do, and I'm pleased that there's support for this. So for elementary schools, having that choice to remain in 5th and 6th for our middle schools 6 through 8, and then 7 and 8, reverse that, 5th and 6th for our middle school 7 and 8, and then 4 through 5 for our mostly Mason District schools, and also for our secondary schools. I've heard the advocacy to, again, allow those students, even though they're there much longer than our high schools or middles, that consistency. So I'm so pleased that we're making policy action, and this is what the board is designed to do. So I hope my colleagues can all support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Frisch.
Thank you. First, I want to thank our sponsors, Dr. Anderson and Ms. Marin, for bringing this and for collaborating with other colleagues on various aspects of this. Ms. Anderson on the elementary school language, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser on the secondary language, and then the forthcoming follow-on motion regarding IEPs. I think that's important work. And so I'll be supportive, in the spirit of that collaboration and the follow-on, and because it does preserve the flexibility of the board for other phasing in extenuating circumstances. So I appreciate the work that's been done to bring the board together on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McElveen.
Thank you so much. And thanks in particular to Dr. Anderson and Ms. Marin for bringing forward this proposal, and frankly, for their advocacy for grandfathering over the past year, even when it hasn't been flavor of the month. Having been out in the community at boundary meetings and in people's homes, I've heard pretty loudly and clearly that this is something that the community wants. And it's really coming at the right time, just to assuage people that they will be grandfathered and they won't have to worry about their children's future with the boundary committee findings that will be released next spring and the vote of the board. I believe this is the empathetic thing to do and the caring thing to do. I can't be more grateful to Dr. Anderson and Ms. Marin for bringing forward this proposal. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. McElveen. Ms. Lady.
Thank you. And again, thank you, Dr. Anderson and Ms. Marin, for bringing this forward. Memory serves me well. A year ago, I was virtual for the meeting about the boundary, and I also supported this motion at that time. As someone who was very active in high school as a kid, I think it's essential once you build that community, you should have the opportunity to continue in that space if you've already completed 9th grade. Having said that, I think people will be surprised at the number of kids who actually will choose to go to a new school. And I just want to bring that up. I think that one of the things that I have delighted in this boundary work thus far is that just about every single one of our high schools, there are kids that are in a scenario who might be moved to a different one. Everyone who might be moved is fighting to stay. People who might be moved from X to Y doesn't want to go from Y to Z. And I bring this up because people need to understand we are a school system that has amazing schools. And there's a lot of consistency from school to school. And it's something that we're working on. Yeah, there's a little bit of personality differences sometimes in terms of, how big the marching band might be, or whether you have 2 full-time theater teachers or 2 full-time band teachers, or you win debate every year. But most of what we do in our schools, we do consistently across our schools. And I want to continue to just make that mention because I think it's a beautiful thing when every time I get an email, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just read 3 before, and those people don't want to go to your school, and you don't want to be moved from your school. So I just want to bring that up. I think it's great, but I also do understand connections and community. And I think that we want to give parents and families some ability for choice. And I think that does that. I also agree with the follow-on motion that will be coming, or the amendment that will be coming to this. But again, thanks to my colleagues. I'm glad we're here, and I think we have the support we need for this today. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lady. Ms. Sizemore-Heiser.
Thank you. Also, I wanted to thank the makers of the motion for this, but I also wanted to sort of give some context as well. I will also be supportive of this motion. I know there was some conversation last year when the boundary policy was passed around the phasing, and at that time, being very early in the process, we wanted many of us to have as broad as phasing as possible, and the original amendment did not include elementary school or secondary school. So I'm really appreciative of the collaborative efforts of the makers of the motion and the work of Ms. Anderson and others to lift up the issues of elementary schools. I was happy that the makers of the motion were very collaborative in accepting my thoughts around secondary schools and making sure the unique nature of secondary schools where 7th to 12th are in the same building was taken into account as well. So I think now that we're further in the process, have a better understanding of what we can and can't do, and are inclusive of the various needs of different levels, I think we've landed in a good spot. So I'm happy to support this, and I will speak to the follow-on, and I hope to have my colleagues' support for that follow-on as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser. Mr. McDaniel.
So I want to echo what has been said previously. The key reason that I'm going to support this is now that we're a year into it, we actually have some drafts, albeit some drafty drafts, but we have data. We have drafts and data. We have something concrete upon which we can make a decision of this magnitude. And having reviewed that data, I don't have an issue, and I appreciate the collaboration around the elementary school language and secondary school language as well, because it was important to catch those two school levels. So I will be supporting the motion.
Thank you. Mr. Moon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank Dr. Anderson for bringing back this policy amendment, and also Ms. Maron, just like last year. I think it was July of 2024 that when almost the same amendments came in, and unfortunately at the time the majority board didn't want to go that direction. But I'm glad that we are doing this time, because in the fall our consultants and community and school board will have a lot of hard work left to be done, and this is a very crucial component of that work. Thank you, Dr. Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Ms. Dixit.
So last year when it was brought in, I think it was not complete. It did not involve elementary schools. It did not involve secondary schools, and that was the reason majority of the board did not support it. This made changes with my colleagues, Ms. Anderson, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser. I feel it's more wholesome. It is something we can stand by and support. And we understand changing school and boundaries is a lot of adjustment for families. So this is going to help ease the transition because grandfathering will allow students to stay in their current school if they choose to. And it maintains the continuity of the academic program, their special social connection and daily routines during critical academic and social years. This is a change. Boundary changes are necessary to manage enrollments and facility use. We have overcrowding on many schools, and my district, Sully District, has a lot of overcrowding as well. So the boundary adjustment is necessary, but this allowance is also very good. And I did want to address that last year is different than this year. This year we have more information, more facts, a better motion, and I'll support this motion because it's definitely much better than last year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dixit. I'm going to go ahead and take a turn, and then we have a few people on go backs. If you do not want to go back, please turn your light off. I don't think any of us don't, I mean, repeatedly when I talk to communities about what's going on with the boundaries, none of us want to move kids from schools. That's not the goal here. The goal here is to make sure that our schools are utilizing their space appropriately so that we don't have overcrowding, we have appropriate busing, we have all the things. This is a big lift. I appreciate the makers of the motion bringing this back to us. I think that it's, we have a lot more information, and I know this is where we were headed. So I appreciate, and I will be supporting this tonight. I do want to say something, though, and it was the same thing I actually said last year that I was concerned about, and it's what I've been talking to families about to explain my decision last year pretty repeatedly. The biggest aspect of this is we don't know whether or not this is potentially going to cause higher capacity at some schools. We don't know what that's going to look like yet. So I would hate for us to get through the entire boundary process and not have anybody at least call attention to the phasing matters with how the capacity works. We have certain schools out in the county that everybody either wants to go or everybody wants to stay. And then we have some that, you know, maybe not in the same boat right now, although I do definitely agree with my colleague that I have been hearing advocacy across the board related to how amazing certain schools are and that nobody wants to leave. I'm not getting any emails saying, I can't wait for you to get me out of here. And so I guess the point is here is that when we get through the process and we see that the phasing causes certain capacities to increase, or certain populations to increase because we've had kids go and stay, I don't want us to think that we've failed in the boundary work. The boundary work needs to happen because it is going to slowly over time right-size the school populations that we have. And so I am in support of this. I know we were headed there anyways. I do appreciate the makers of the motion working with the rest of us to get everything in here that was appropriate and important. And I think this is something that we can live with long term. So I appreciate the work here. Dr. Anderson for a go back.
Yes, thank you. Just a couple of things that I want to make sure that I share. First of all, I appreciate the support today for the motion very much. But I would be remiss if I sat here and absorbed that last year the motion was not complete. That is not accurate. I don't believe that to be accurate at all. It was not as expansive when it came to the secondary. That was not something that came to mind at all. And I do want to give credit to Ms. Eismer-Heiser calling me to talk about that. I also know we had another parent who sent an email to the entire board, which I missed because I had been ill, about exactly that. And that is not something I would have wanted to miss. It was just not top of mind because I don't serve I don't serve any secondary schools, so it was not top of mind. And so I do want to make sure that I recognize that that part was not clearly identified, and it should be, because I wouldn't want for any of this to not be consistent across the system. But it was not an incomplete motion last year. We were at a different place, certainly, yes. Do we have more information this year? Absolutely we do. And I think our parents being more engaged, being more involved, because they now have the scenarios and it's a little bit more real. And I think that's been the difference. It's a little bit more real for all of us. So we're seeing what is possible. And I think that's been the primary difference. But I do appreciate all of the support. And I do want to say thank you to Ms. Marin, because she was right there the whole time. And, you know, a year to the date, literally, it was July 18th when we first brought this of last year, and it's July 17th this year. So I'm appreciating your support to getting this over the hump, but I felt a real need to say this.
Mr. Moon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to quickly note that a phasing had always been part of boundary adjustments. Phasing is not an indication of failure of any part of our work. So this is just doing the right way to do the boundary adjustments.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Seeing no further, I'm going to go ahead and call for a vote on the motion, which is on the screen. All those in favor? Mr. Frisch, Mr. McDaniel, Ms. Marin, Ms. St. John Cunning, Ms. Lady, Ms. Dixit, Ms. Eismer-Heiser, Mr. Moon, Dr. Anderson, Mr. McElveen and myself. Will the clerk please read the vote?
The vote's 11-0. It carries.
Excellent, thank you. I will call on Ms. Sizemore-Heiser for a follow-on motion.
I move to direct the superintendent to ensure that administrators communicate that special education student placement decisions shall continue to be determined by the IEP teams as allowed by federal provisions.
Dr. Anderson, I'm sorry, is there a second?
I
I'll
was
get
waiting.
there.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Ms. Sizemore-Heiser, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, briefly. This is just to reiterate and making sure it's understood by administrators that despite the phasing language that we have here, that we still have special education students whose placement decisions are made by IEP teams. Most of the time, the IEP teams determine that they stay at their base school, but we want to make sure that that's clear. I had, this is something I thought about a couple weeks ago, but knowing that that's guaranteed under federal law, I hadn't brought it before, but I've heard since several concerns from the community to making sure that this is clear and that we're directing the superintendent in the public so they have something to point to. And a lot of that is coming out of when we passed the cell phone policy in 2022, where we restricted cell phones, bell-to-bell bans for elementary and middle school, and we in 22 allowed cell phones only in lunch and in the hallways for high school. At that time, there were carve-outs for medical needs and for special education students, but yet the implementation of that was inconsistent and continues to this day be inconsistent around that. So we wanted to make sure that there was clear understanding that these placement decisions, that this policy does not usurp the IEP team's ability to make the placement decisions for the best interest in the child as per the federal law and the IEP team. So it's just a simple flagging of something that's already a right.
Dr. Anderson, would you like to speak to your second?
Yes, really briefly. I'm glad to support this follow-on motion because if there's a place for us to clarify for parents, we should definitely do that. If there's a place for us to reduce anxiety about things that are seemingly vague, then we should certainly do that. While it might come across as prescriptive, but we are actually being responsive to our community's needs. These are the things that worry them. Is my child going to have to leave their school in the middle of high school? That's a worry, which we just took care of. Is my special education student going to have to leave his or her school even though they now have a new space according to the boundary? We're saying that is not the case. The IEP decision still makes those decisions. The IEP team still makes those decisions. So I'm glad to be able to offer that clarification because it reduces anxiety and angst. And so that is also part of our work to ensure that our community is clear in terms of what the boundaries are.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Ms. Dixit.
I agree with this and happy to support my colleague, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser. The placement decision for IEP students must be made by the IEP team and not by the administrator. So this is a very important information I also didn't know before, and thank you for bringing this to our awareness and bringing this motion. So I'll be supporting that. Thank you.
Thank you. I will call for a vote on the motion, which is on the screen. All those in favor, Mr. Frisch, Mr. McDaniel, Ms. Marin, Ms. St. John Cunning, Ms. Lady, Ms. Dixit, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser, Mr. Moon, Dr. Anderson, Mr. McElveen, and myself. I believe that is unanimous. Thank you. Action item 5.05, monthly separation report, June 2025. I call on Mr. Moon for a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the school board approve the June 2025 monthly separation report.
Is there a second? Thank you, Ms. St. John Cunning. Mr. Moon, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes. First of all, thank you, Madam Chair, for moving this out of consent agenda so that I could ask a couple of questions to Dr. Reed. That we get this monthly separation report, so I guess in the second meeting every month we get something similar like this. Could you tell us first of all why we get these reports on a monthly basis?
I'm sorry, did you ask the why we get them?
Yeah, why we get the reports? Is that
You've requested
statutorily
them.
required or?
I believe the board requested them.
Okay, and what I want you to know is on page 6 and page 7 of the report, the data we get about ethnic composition by subgroups, not just composition, but also separation data, monthly and also year-to-date data. So for this particular month's report has one entire year's data right there. I want you to know whether we could have same data or similar data just for a instructional staff, and also whether we have similar data for the last several years. I want to see the trend, whether there's any sort of gap between or discrepancy between a composition by subgroups versus a separation by subgroups.
So I know Mr. Solomon has that data and I thought had provided it. Mr. Solomon, do you want to comment on that, please? Because I know you had a conversation about that.
Yes, and Mr. Moon, thank you for the question. We provided the board an updated version of the separations that FCPS has received for teachers, for assistant principals, and for principals in a June Friday letter. And in it, it shows just that for the past 3 to 4 years, exactly how many separations we're seeing across demographic subgroup year over year.
I know that you sent me an email with that earlier, but I didn't see what I was looking for. What I'm looking for is not only just the composition, ethnic composition of our employee groups, but also separation data by subgroups, and whether we have those data over the last 3 to 4 year period.
Yes, sir. In the first column, it shows composition of all of the employees. The second column is the volume of new hires. The third is separations, which is the one I believe you're looking for. And then the fourth is our student composition.
I don't know what you're referring. Are you referring to a separation report that's on the board doc, or are you referring to what you sent me earlier today? Because you also indicated in your email that you're going to include what I was going to be asking in the Friday letter tomorrow.
Yes, we can recirculate it in the Friday letter, and it was provided in a previous Friday letter.
I mean, you sent me the last week's Friday letters, but I mean, you might want to go back and what you wrote to me, because as of that time, you didn't have all those data to share with me. So you were going to include the information in the Friday letter. I just want you to be able to see whether a particular group of employees is leaving the school system at a much higher rate than its composition rate.
Yes, and what we can do is I'm looking at it right now. It's provided in the format of a graph year over year by demographic subgroup. What we can do is provide a table with the raw numbers so that you have it at your fingertips.
I would be mostly interested for the instructional staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Ms. St. John Cunning, would you like to speak to your second?
Only to say that I really appreciate the data and how it's been separated out in this particular report. I think it's really helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. St. John Cunning. We are going to go to Ms. Marin.
Thank you. I definitely see a new take on this, which I really appreciate, the new data. You know, I'd like to see the showing of the years of experience. I'm really more interested in that, especially as we know that the more experienced staff will produce those larger gains for students. I also, you know, again, this makes me think about the big picture, you know, what format is most useful to the board and aligns with the strategic plan. And in going through our strategic plan, we have Pillar C, about diverse, adapted, and supported workforce, and Pillar D, the culture of equity, excellence, and accountability. But, you know, we get our strategic plan goal reports on the goals. So, you know, just wondering how, you know, especially in the year ahead, planning for the new reporting out at meetings, how can we perhaps see more of the picture happening over time, but certainly at least figuring out, you know, what data the board wants to see, I guess. And this also relates to what working on and updating some of the executive limitations policy language to include the policies with the presentation, so we can see how our policies about human resources and staff and such are up to date. So otherwise, I will support it.
Thank you, Ms. Marin. Dr. Anderson.
Thank you. I do want to say thank you to, it wasn't quite you, Ms. Solomon, but I'm sure you would have done it. But when your predecessor was there, she did change this formatting along with Mr. Smith, because what we had previously didn't really tell the story. It was just information that didn't really capture what I think we're trying to go after, which is what is happening in the division and where are some of the places where we need to take some action. The data was just like one big lump. It wasn't teased out, because we talk about how representation matters. We want to ensure that our students see people who look like them, and because that matters. So this brings me to my question to you. In your analysis, now that we've had the full year of data in this format, what are the spots where we are seeing concerns? Do we have, Asian principals leaving at a rate that we would not like? Do we have Black teachers leaving at a higher rate? Are there hot spots?
Thank you for the question. What I will say is this: I think the board, the superintendent, and the school division have much to be proud of as it relates to everything that has happened around recruitment, and everything that's really happened to around the retention of our staff. Right? So that's everything from making sure that pathways into the profession are accessible via expanding alternative routes to licensure, leveraging I Teach More, expanding into our new programs like Avanza, Teach Forward, FCPS, leveraging the one-year local eligibility license, all of those things. When I look at our separations year over year, they're actually pretty flat across demographic subgroups. And at the same time, we're recruiting significantly more BIPOC instructional staff members. So what you see year over year is an increase in the employee composition among our BIPOC staff. What we are noticing as a pattern, and it is a spot that we as a division have work to do on. Again, lots of great work happening. We see that population increasing. Specifically for our Hispanic and Asian populations, there's more that we can do to make sure that they better represent our student demographics.
Okay, so thank you for that, and I look forward to seeing some of those strategies. I believe that's goal 4 or 5 when we're talking about the workforce. Again, very much appreciative of this data. I'm glad we're able to have this discussion, because this is typically on consent, and so we don't typically have the opportunity to engage with this information.
I will call for a vote on the motion, which is on the screen. All those in favor: Mr. Frisch, Mr. McDaniel, Ms. Marin, Ms. St. John Cunning, Ms. Lady, Ms. Dixit, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser, Mr. Moon, Dr. Anderson, Mr. McElveen, and myself. That is unanimous. Agenda item 6.01, academic matters. I call on Dr. Reed for academic matters.
All right. Good evening, Madam Chair and the board and community who are listening. It's my pleasure this evening to talk about middle school after school programming and a little bit of data based on our prior year. So I'm not sure who's doing slides. Thank you, Janet. Reminder that our middle school after school programs here actually are specifically connected to supporting goal 4. But there are also supports in goals 2 and 3 because we know that these transitional supports are developmentally really important for our adolescents, and these structured activities are important to allow our middle schoolers to explore their interests and gain a deeper sense of belonging at their school. We know that research supports that after-school programs for students in middle school are linked with improved academic skills, improved attendance, lower absenteeism, development of essential life skills, including time management, goal setting, responsibility, etc. The offerings, we want to make sure that our community knows that we do have after-school activities 5 days a week at no cost for our students, and they're designed to provide opportunities for student growth and development in a number of areas that are shown on the screen. On average, our data shows that each middle school provides about 12 to 15 hours of programming and provides transportation through late buses to support students getting home safely. And that's really important, actually, because many students are not able to stay after school without that transportation because families aren't able to provide it. Across all of our middle schools, we have over 940 different program activities. These structured activities in FY 2025, we had 24,749 middle school students attend the after-school program, and the typical weekly attendance averaged over 15,000 students. The programs included a variety of topic areas: homework assistance, tutoring, STEM, fine and performing arts, board games, service learning, fitness, and youth development. The past 2 years, we've also had FCPS offered cross-country and track and field to all our middle school students who were in good standing at their school. And we know that these activities have also promoted just a very positive culture and climate at school, and want to report that we had over 2,300 athletes participate in middle school cross-country and close to 2,300 participating in track. The video that we'll show talks a little bit about what middle school sports have meant to our students. Madam Clerk, if you would please roll the video.
Running is one of the greatest things you can do to push yourself. What you put into the sport is what you get out of it. And really, the harder you work, the better you get at it. So it teaches students perseverance, dedication, good sportsmanship. We do have a couple field events we're doing with the long jump and the shot put, but other than that, all they need is a singlet, a pair of shoes. And the great thing about track is anyone can do it. And it's also great conditioning for other sports. So it's been really great just to see how many schools have really embraced that.
It's so awesome that we're the pioneers of this new program. It's really amazing that they're bringing it to middle schools, and I'm sure it'll make a ton of people happy.
It's really nice that FCPS has considered track as like a sport that you can now compete in with other people. Amazing.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
And sports is all about connections, and you're next to a bunch of different people from a bunch of different middle schools. Everybody comes from different backgrounds, different places. It's honestly like an amazing experience. You can get out, compete, meet new people, have input from your coaches, be able to compete with your friends and other classmates as well.
You get to meet other people from other schools and hang around other people and like be athletic with other people.
I think it's a great way to kind of bring the schools together as like a team community thing, and it's fun competing against the other schools. I run the 1600, the 800, and sometimes the 4x4 relay.
I run the 100, 200, and the 4x4. I like the 200 more because it's competitive and meet other people that'll like you and want to race and be fast.
I really like the 1600. I think it's a good way to kind of pace yourself more than like sprinting, and honestly, personally think I'm better at the 800. That's more my thing. It's fun to like get to run around laps and really race people. When you're racing, you're mostly racing yourself.
Your body's telling you, I can't do this, but your brain is telling your body, I can do this, run through it, you got this.
So my distance was 14 feet. It felt like Christmas morning every waking moment after it. Like I was so stoked. The second I landed and they measured it, I just was pumping my arms. I was so excited. I'm so glad I'm competing for my school. I love my school, and I'm glad that I'm going out there and getting recognition for it.
When I'm on the starting line, I don't really care who's from what school. I'm gonna root for everybody because it's just phenomenal to see other people do well, even if it's not yourself.
At the finish line, you're like patting each other on the back, saying good race and stuff like that.
One thing I love about our team is they're so genuinely kind to each other. The care that I see in these 12 and 13-year-olds on the field is amazing. So that's something that we've tried to build as coaches, but they had to come with it as well. And so I love that they are building that maturity and resilience in themselves through this sport. And I'm excited to see where middle school sports goes.
Having this experience is so great for athletes to transition them into being a successful high school athlete. It also gives them exposure, and I think the numbers will really increase in high school because kids now have the confidence to try out, where before they might have been unsure.
So, yes, our own Janet Brown, the Luther Jackson Middle School Panther track coach. I will tell you, board, having been out at some of these activities, the excitement and just our kids are modeling what incredible connections can be made and what's possible when you work together. So also want to thank our Board of Supervisors for funding our middle school after-school programming. I think our Board of Supervisors and our community recognize what a genuine gift this is for our young people and honestly how necessary it is for a healthy development of the adolescent age group. So we've seen some very high feedback from parents and staff, and while it is extra work, it's proven to be something that we're really excited about and want to make sure we continue. Last slide, please. Finally, want a reminder that middle school after-school programming is tied with connections that our students are able to make, and again, all of the different activities and events are transformational in terms of the work young people have in getting connected to their schools and one another. And you know what? We didn't see one student racing, jumping with their phones. So I would just say it's a natural way to sort of create positive mental health energy and a not distracted racing environment. So anyhow, Madam Chair, that is Academic Matters for July 18th.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. At this time, I now invite my colleagues to ask any questions or provide comments. We're going to start with Ms. Dixit.
Dr. Reed, I really appreciate all your presentations, especially the videos with the students and the sentence what they were saying. It was very, very interesting to hear. Pioneers, okay, yeah, good stuff. So I had a question about the first, I think, slide, or second, I should say. It said 12 to 15 hours of programming. Is it average, and how many is it per week?
That's correct, yes, ma'am, per week.
Okay.
Which is generally, since they're 5 days a week, that would be several hours, from anywhere from several to 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours a day.
Yeah, that's about the after school this day. And how many students, middle school students, stay for more period of time, like initial month? Do we have a data? Because I think the concern from Board of Supervisor was that students don't continue for a longer period of time. It's just maybe for a little bit and only few students continue.
Yes, ma'am. The data I have this evening is summative, which is to say that over the course of FY25, 24,749 middle school students did attend the program, and the weekly attendance averaged over 15,000 students across the middle schools in the county.
So it's fair to say it was very well attended, and it's going to continue to do so.
Yes, ma'am.
As I see all the students doing high jumps and long jumps and other relay racing and other races, I wanted to ask if there is a plan to do an inter-school meets with other schools. And I guess when I was growing up, we used to do that in our schools, and we would have other schools and do like compete with them. It's pretty much similar like high school sports here.
So this year, for the first time in cross country, because we just do these Saturday meets that involve groups of schools, this year at the end of the cross country season, we had a division-wide championship where students qualified based on their finishes throughout the season, and that was very well attended. We had several thousand people attending that. But I don't know that we have the bandwidth or the field space to do regular sort of dual meets, but every Saturday during the fall there are cross-country meets, and then spring the track meets.
Thank you so much. And I know a lot of people appreciate this program and our communities, especially the middle schoolers. They absolutely are thrilled, as we can see. And this is where we really need to focus in, as get those students, be active, play outside. And that's take the, like you said, nobody's playing with the phone when they're jumping and running. So this is how we can take a little bit of the break from the phones with kids are really tied to. So thank you again. It was amazing to see that.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Dixit. We go to Dr. Anderson.
Yes, I would be remiss to not also add to the chorus of this is great. I love the fact that we have articulated this, especially in the climate that we're in, because that very activity, well, those activities were under threat this year. And so I hope that it is viewed how much of an asset it is to our school community. What I do want to share is, while we had a reprieve this year in order to be able to maintain these programs that are inextricably linked to the funding of the after-school coordinators, it is my wondering of what's happening next year. What have you heard that we can share with the community about what could be on the docket next year regarding funding of the after-school program coordinators that help make this happen?
I have not heard anything concrete about next year or the planning for FY27 with regard to middle school after school specialists. I do know that there was a request, or is a request, to look at, from the Board of Supervisors, I believe, to look at a possible fee structure for middle school after school programming. And I believe there's a group that's looking at that, and that will be something, obviously, that would come to this board as well.
Thank you for sharing that. And to me, that is such a difficult position to be in, with understanding where the Board of Supervisors are financially speaking. But we have, if I recall the data correctly, 70% of our students who participate are free and reduced lunch. So I'm struggling to see how we can charge those who cannot afford it anyway. So I hope that there's another solution to be had at that point. But I do want to make sure that our community is clear that the sports are an added on activity that FCPS funds, because we have the structure that the Board of Supervisors already funds. So I just want to say kudos. This is great stuff. And I know that my personal children, who were middle schoolers, and I still have one more, participate nearly every day in the program.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Mr. McElveen.
Well, thank you, Dr. Reed. And, this presentation was fabulous. And I think that it's pretty clear that this has been one of your signature achievements as superintendent. So I know all of us are so happy about this program. Had I had this program in middle school, I probably wouldn't have been so slow when I ran cross country and track in high school. But that being said, I know it sets up a lot of our students, not only for athletic, but also academic success. So in Fairfax County, we can't stop with just one thing, right? So what do you envision for the future of the middle school sports program?
Well, thank you, Mr. McElveen. I do think that right now we have a fall and spring option. So I know the group is contemplating what is possible in the winter. And I think the middle school principals, Mr. Horn and the office, will probably be contemplating that. And I'm not sure where we'll land, whether that's wrestling or basketball or volleyball, or where that's going to land, or soccer. The students have a high interest in all of the above. And many of our students across the county are in areas where it's not easily accessible to be on teams because of transportation and sometimes cost. So it'll be a difficult decision, but I think they're looking at those options at this time.
Well, all of the above sounds good to me. And I know as your outgoing representative on the athletic council, I know our friends over there will be eager to stay abreast of plans and be consulted because they have opinions, as always. And special shout out to Janet. It was great to see you sporting the sunglasses. We recognized you. You weren't in disguise. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McElveen. Mr. McDaniel.
Well, I will say, had we had these programs when I was in middle school, I may have actually run around a track once in my life. But I was at a town hall meeting with Ms. Dix back in, I don't remember, it was February, maybe, something like that, a budget town hall. And I think I made these comments a few months ago. watching the kids that were participants of this program coming up to the microphone talking about the impact of this program to them was, it was a very surreal moment for me. And similar to what Dr. Anderson kind of stole the question I was going to ask, but that's okay, I'll reiterate it. And I would suggest for our budget committee, we need to get out ahead of this. Because if this is going to be back on the chopping block, or even a suggestion of a chopping block or a user fee type of a structure, we need to get out ahead of this quickly. Because I think the program itself speaks, the program speaks for itself, obviously. We can't afford to lose it. So thank you for all your work on this.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. McDaniel. Ms. Sizemore-Heiser.
Thank you, and I echo the comments of my colleagues, and I can say how much this would have helped me both physically and mentally. And as someone who used to teach fitness classes and someone who's run 4 full marathons, I can tell you fully the benefits of running for both physical activity, for strength, and for mental health. So I'm really thrilled to see this program. I just wanted to lift up, since I do represent 2 of the secondary schools in my district, that if you are looking to expand the sports, I know there's been some concerns at the secondary schools, because as I've mentioned before, the secondary schools are 2 schools and 1 set of facilities, right? So they have 1 gym at a secondary school. And so we just need to make sure we're not leaving those schools behind and planning thoughtfully around what facilities they have as well. Because the high school and middle school share the track, for example.
Right.
And I know they've worked really hard to make it work, but as we're moving forward, I want to make sure that we're not leaving it to them to figure it out, but we're being thoughtful to include their challenges as we move forward, because this is a great program, and I agree with my colleagues, our students benefit greatly from it. So thank you for all your work, and thank you for bringing this to us.
Yes, ma'am. It's been a great team effort. Our principals really have carried a lot of water, too.
Thank you, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser. Ms. Lady.
Yeah, I echo a lot of the comments of my colleagues. Anytime our kids are out and moving, the physical activity is fantastic. And the one student, and they all feel it, is they're racing themselves, right? Like even those kids who, might finish last, their last is better than their last finish. And I think that says a lot too, because that carries over in other parts of our life. And so I think it's brilliant of you to start with track where there are no cuts. And as we move into other things, those gym space, we have other high schools that have 1 gym, and middle schools that have small gym spaces and playing field areas. But the last thing I want to talk about is my strong belief that anything we provide after school, it cannot be fee-based. I can't emphasize this enough to our community. And I, want to commend my colleague, Mr. McDaniel, for bringing this, and other people have mentioned this, but, when you think about a public school, you don't pay for public school. And the getting kids out and active, especially kids who don't have the money to do club teams, sometimes even do just house league activities because of transportation issues, we are here to eliminate barriers to access. That is One Fairfax, and we will work with our partners to make sure that our kids don't have to pay. But that's just important, and I wanted to make that point this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lady. Thank you, Dr. Reed.
Thank you.
Agenda item 7, consent agenda. Our adopted rules of parliamentary procedure, Robert's Rules, provide for a consent agenda listing several items for approval of the board by a single motion. Many items have gone through board review, and documentation has been provided to all board members and the public in advance. Items may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any board member prior to the meeting. The consent agenda items are on the screen. Is there any objection to approving the consent agenda?
Hold on 1 second. We actually need to get them up. Okay, apologies. Now we're good.
Thank you so much. Is there any objection to approving the consent agenda? Hearing and seeing no objection, the consent agenda is approved. Agenda item 8, new business. The following are new business agenda items. There will not be a vote on these items this evening, but action is scheduled at a future meeting. Agenda item number 9, superintendent matters. I call on Dr. Reed for superintendent matters.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's been an amazing week here in Fairfax County. We had our leadership kickoff this week, and want to thank those board members who were able to make it. And in particular our chair, Sandy Anderson, who helped kick us off with a big welcome, and I know our team was very grateful for your message. Also want to thank Marcy Neal, Jenny Canine, and Annie Dippert, all of the folks, Armand, Tracy Sewell, their team, Kevin, everybody behind the scenes, and also those who helped make the leadership kickoff just a big success. Also want to say that big thank you to our food and nutrition staff. Currently we have 112 sites where we're providing meals to children. This summer, 32 of these sites have operating hours open to the community for children to receive meals. And to date, we have served almost 31,000 breakfasts this summer and over 51,000 lunches. That's huge. So big shout out if you see any of our food and nutrition staff, give them a big thank you. Based on the current trend for the course of the summer, we're projected to serve 65,000 breakfasts and 110,000 lunches this summer. It's amazing. So Mr. Muick thanked the team, and we're so proud of them. In terms of some school visits, I've had a chance to stop and see summer school at Graham Road Elementary, and there is so much excitement at Graham Road Elementary. Had a chance to be in a number of different classes, and just really excited to see our young people working so hard. Also stopped by Annandale High School. A lot of credit recovery occurring there, and just so pleased with the work of our high school students as well. And I'm looking forward to visiting Liberty Middle School next week to talk about algebra and the Avid Power Up work. Summer theater is also thriving, and lots of excitement for summer theater events, which I'll have an opportunity to be attending. And then last but not least, we have an instructional job fair coming up on Wednesday, July 23rd, which is next week. So if you're out there, or if you just moved to the community and you're excited about joining Team FCPS, we do have a job fair at Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology on Wednesday from 9 to noon. So I wish you all a great summer recess, board, and look forward to reconnecting as we begin the 25-26 school year. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. Agenda item 10, board matters. Next on the agenda is board matters, and I will call on the school board members that wish to speak. I have checked in the order that we have set up. Mr. Frisch.
All right. I'm going to use every single, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to use very little time here. I did want to say how much I enjoyed earlier in the month attending the Kingsley Commons Computer Technology Program graduation with Supervisor Palchik. They do really great work there in Falls Church, providing technology to students and helping them learn the technology better. And it's great seeing these students that received computers when they were kids, essentially, before we had a universal laptop program in FCPS. And they were receiving scholarships and going to Columbia and GMU and UVA. I mean, just really great stuff happening there. And then I want to invite everybody, my colleagues and everybody out in the community. Providence Presents is back for the summer. We have great outdoor concerts happening at Mosaic, where we have Mosaic Live, and Nottoway Park, where we have Nottoway Nights. This Saturday, July 19th, 7:30 p.m., Munit, Mesfin, and the First Take Band will perform the Roberta Flack Tribute Concert. That's right, I said that right. The Roberta Flack Tribute Concert, you don't want to miss it, at Mosaic. And on Thursday the 24th, the Kruger Brothers will take the stage at Nottoway Park. There's more concerts after those. You should check out Supervisor Palchik's website for more information. And with that, I hope everybody has a nice recess.
Thank you, Mr. Frisch. Ms. Marin.
Yes, first I want to again thank Allison Korb, our soloist, who sang really so incredibly this evening. She is a rising 8th grade student at Langston Hughes Middle School, and I've had the joy of knowing her and her family for several years, so it was so special for me to hear her. And of course, that chorus program is really wonderful. It's really become so robust over the last few years. I feel like the summer's supposed to be quiet. People keep saying, oh, it's quiet this time of year. And I said, oh, it's not quiet. Our leadership already had their kickoff for the next school year. So, our principals are already working and their staff is already, working to get stuff done. I mentioned I went to this conference on school board leadership, and one of the really cool things I learned was really how to start playing with artificial intelligence, AI, in a way that I think is very exciting, and pulling lots of information together about, work on the board. And so I'm seeing for myself, but I also am eager for our school division to do more with this work, and I hope that we can explore that further and use it for our own purposes as well, such as our staff does. And again, online PE and driver's ed, boy, it's a lift. It's no joke when they say it's like 6 to 8 hours a day. It kind of is. But I really appreciate the teacher who's been there every day with my student. And, sitting in this session today, the required safety session with my kid, like, wow, the kids do things like drive cars. And it's just a really amazing experience. And to know that our school division even provides that, it is an additional fee, but just the swath of things that our public schools are doing, and requiring parents to sit there through the session. And I kind of thought about, I wonder if we could do that for cell phones, right? A lot of times I could find them interchangeable, but just the learning doesn't stop, and I'm glad my son's having a great time at the South Lakes High School basketball camp this week. So yeah, our schools are open in the summer, 7 days a week, all summer long, our public facilities. So I wish everyone a restful board recess, but I know that many of us will continue the work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Marin. Ms. St. John Cunning.
Thank you. I hope everyone out there is enjoying their summer break, and I know I'm looking forward to our school board recess. I too want to commend our food services team working in schools as long as I have. I cannot emphasize how critical that summer food program is for a lot of our families. They really depend on it. I want to remind families also to make sure that you get your students vaccinated. Make sure that they're up to date on their vaccinations as soon as possible. Speaking from experience, do not wait till the last minute to make those doctor's appointments, because you will not get in and your child will not be able to begin the first day of school, and we really want to have them there the first day of school. Finally, since John Lewis High School sits in my district, I would be remiss if I did not mention that today is John Lewis Day of Action. It commemorates the 5th anniversary of the passing of Congressman John Lewis, a prominent civil rights leader. This National Day of Action is known as Good Trouble Lives On, and it is dedicated to continuing Lewis's legacy of fighting for civil rights and defending democracy. So it's not just today, but every day that we need to be vigilant, and I will leave you with his very famous words. Do not get lost in a sea of despair. Be hopeful, be optimistic. Our struggle is not the struggle of a day, a week, a month, or a year. It is the struggle of a lifetime. Never ever be afraid to make some noise and get into good trouble. Necessary trouble. And with that, I say buenas noches.
Thank you, Ms. St. John Cunning. Ms. Dixit.
First, I would like to extend a warm welcome to Faith McConnon, our new student representative. I am looking forward to working with you and excited to see that what you bring to this role. Faith was here the whole time. He just moved. I also want to thank all our volunteers who have generously given their time and energy serving on various advisory committees. Your contributions are greatly appreciated. I'm thrilled to welcome FCPS inaugural cohort of summer interns, a group of current students and recent graduates chosen from nearly 950 applicants. Over the next 6 weeks, these interns will contribute to projects, grow their professional network, and gain real-world experience aligned with the FCPS strategic goals. 5, every student will graduate ready to thrive in life after high school and with the skill to navigate, adapt, and innovate for a sustainable future. This is exactly my vision for our students is they get prepared to face or be ready for the real world when they graduate from FCPS, because not everybody is going to college. Some may be working and going to trade school. Congratulations to all FCPS students who participate in the 2025 spring sports season. We are especially proud to recognize TJ girls tennis team for winning the championship and the Oakton High School girls tennis team for finishing as a runner-up. Well done to both teams. We also want to give a special shout out to outstanding athlete from the Sully district who earned individual class 6 state titles in their events. Jacqueline Bullock from Shantley High School in outdoor tracks, girls pole vault, and Priya Smith from Shantley High School in outdoor track, girls triple jump. Before I say goodbye, I want to thank all my colleagues who are serving on the board. Most of us have full-time jobs and businesses, and we are all ready for this 1-month recess. I wait for this all year. Thank you so everyone. Good night.
Thank you, Ms. Dixit. Ms. Sizemore-Heiser.
Thank you, and I would be remiss if I didn't say a few remarks before we go into our recess. First, I just wanted to share some of the amazing things that are happening across the Braddock District in the summertime. We have schools with open houses and barbecues and popsicles on the playground, so please check your school's newsletter. They still have events going on. On 4th of July, I hope I saw some of you at the Kings Park 4th of July Parade, or the Chapel 4th of July Parade, or the Little Run 4th of July Parade, but I have to admit, and I'm sorry to say this, but the best part of all of the 4th of July events was the Danbury Forest Barbecue Belly Flop Contest. And if anyone wants to see the best belly flop, I have a video of it. But it was amazing, and that is what I would say I love about this district. It is just people who love to have fun and take care of each other and celebrate. So I will hopefully see you at some events. There's also some great summer concert series in Braddock, as well as children's arts in the park. So on Friday night, if you are happen to be near Lake Royal, I will be watching Yellow Dub Marine. Yes, you heard correct. Yellow Dub Marine, a Beatles tribute band. And there's also an Arts in the Park Saturday morning for a children's series with Groovy Nate. So come check out this fun stuff, lots going around. A couple things, couple shout outs I want to give. The TJ Latin program continues to impress me under the leadership of Miss Lister, who helped her students achieve over $1,000 of awards at the National Junior Classical League online. Special shout out to Ethan O'Hara from the Braddock District, whose knowledge of Latin grammar, translation, etymology, and classical mythology and Roman and Greek history, classical art, and architecture, which is very impressive, won him an award. So congratulations to Ethan. And a couple cool things going on in the district in the summer. Shout out to Kings Glen Elementary School and the great principal there for hosting a Code Up program, which has been a great success so far with students around science and technology, including learning to code, discovering science, and exploring the outdoors. So we'd love to see more of those things in the summer. And with that, I will say I hope we all, my colleagues, thank you for your hard work. Dr. Reed, thank you to you and your staff for all of their hard work. I think we have accomplished a lot this year, and I look forward to the recess. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sizemore-Heiser. Mr. Moon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Sizemore-Heiser, my kids were Latin students at that particular school.
Nice.
And they really have a good program there. Dr. Reed, I was able to visit Annandale Terrace Elementary School and Annandale High School and saw more than 300 students in summer learning programs at Annandale Terrace, and they all get the grab and go and breakfast. I was able to pick up one package to see what's in there. I opened it. I have not finished them all because I also needed to go to Annandale High School to see what the lunch they are having, and I was able to sample it. At Annandale High School, there were more than 800 students in a credit recovery program. It's a summer, and these students are all studying hard. With that said, Ms. Dixit, we may be going into summer recess, but that doesn't mean we are not working. We are working every day. Have a good recess.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Dr. Anderson.
Oh, thank you very much. I do want to say thank you to the advisory committee members from the Mason District. Your work is not unnoticed. Thank you for all of those nights that you spend giving us your talents for the betterment of our students. I do want to give some shout out to some students. We have 13 Justice High School students who were selected to participate at the recent Community Health Project competition. This competition was judged by medical professionals from Georgetown University. We have Brenda Ferrufino and Connor Morgan, who earned first place in the group presentation category for their project on stroke awareness and prevention. Congratulations. As part of their award, they will be paired with a Georgetown mentor to help them with their project, to turn their project into a reality. I also failed to highlight last time that the Best Buddies chapter of Glasgow Middle School was named the outstanding chapter of the year for middle schools in all of Virginia and Washington, D.C. So congratulations to Glasgow. I do want to say that VIP camp has been very robust, and I was looking for someone who ran from the VIP camp to come here to work at Luther Jackson because they do security in both spots. The students are cooking, they are playing basketball, they're playing volleyball. It is a wonderful program. I know every time my daughter who comes home, I ask her about what she's done. It's all of the above. And today she was excited because she was spiking a lot in volleyball and baked cookies. I have some bad news for all. Well, it all depends on how you see it. If you're a student, maybe it's bad news to you, but maybe it's good news to your parents. But as of tomorrow, school starts in a month. So it's coming. You might want to create a plan in terms of figure out how to get to sleep earlier so you can get up, because I know people are relaxed and it's harder to get back into school mode. And I do want to say thank you to the many parents who shared questions and comments about the boundary review work, and we will continue to engage with you when we come back in the fall. And also a big thank you to the members of the BRAC committee from the 3 high schools that I represent. Have a good recess. Looking forward to some needed rest. Good night.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Ms. Lady.
Yeah, I want to echo Dr. Reed's remarks earlier. What an amazing leadership kickoff we had earlier this week at Hayfield. The keynote speaker, Shelley Moore, was amazing, inspiring, uplifting, passionate. It was impossible to be in the space and not feel so optimistic and encouraged about the work we can do with inclusion with our students. It's hard to believe our teachers are about to start in 2 weeks. As my colleague just mentioned, school is around the corner. I will say, families, if you're watching, if you know people who have moved into your neighborhood, please ask them if they registered their children for school, because we do work all summer long. We would rather you come register now, because I remember in my days, I won't say where I used to work, but often it was a 2-week backup because people just didn't think to call until the first day of school. So please, please, please get your vaccinations and call. I'm also thrilled to welcome to the Region 1 family Principal Acosta at Herndon Elementary School, most recently founder and executive director at Paradiso College Preparatory School System in San Juan, Puerto Rico. He comes with 15 years of experience as an educator. He found his true love of education when he began his teaching career as an elementary bilingual language arts teacher. We are so excited to welcome him to Herndon Elementary. Also very excited, we just named yesterday Principal Butzer. Chris Butzer, who was an AP here at Luther Jackson, will be the new principal at Longfellow Middle School. She brings a wealth of experience and passion for creating vibrant learning environments where all students can thrive, especially middle schoolers. She did some amazing work in moving her numbers in terms of enrollment in math honors and also Algebra 1 in the past few years. And then we are very excited that we've started the process. Hopefully, it's underway to select the new McLean High School principal. Just a reminder, the Boundary Tool survey is closing on July 18, so if you want to share any additional feedback, please do so. People have mentioned that there are summer players. The theater is alive and well this summer. The McLean Community Players are doing Shrek the weekends of July 18 and 27. The Herndon Summer Grands are doing Anastasia, July 25 and 26. And there's more information on those in my newsletter. And in honor of John Lewis, I encourage you to be like the outgoing FE president, our Leslie Houston, and go and get into some good trouble. Thank you, Ms. Houston, for all of your work. You will be missed. Everyone, have a great recess, rest. I will be spending my time learning Robert's rules and learning that I have a bajillion meetings on my calendar to look forward to. But anyways, again, thank you to my colleagues and have a great recess.
I am going to happily adjourn our public meeting at 9:48 p.m.